my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair. We care about fairness here. We've always done that. Rush Limbaugh, talent on loan from God on Friday.
And now, from sunny South Florida, it's Open Line Friday!
Okay, folks, one busy, exciting broadcast hour remains before the Labor Day weekend. By the way, we do have a best of show on Monday, right? No, we have a best of show. Yanking my chain. This one I know of. This is not one of those 3-day holidays that can sneak up on me when I don't know about it. Well, you better have a best of show because I've got plans. Because after that, it's pedal to the metal all the way. Here's the phone number, folks, if you want to be on the program. 800-282-2882. The email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. Remember, on Friday, we go to the phones. Whatever you want to talk about is what we talk about. It's not the case Monday through Thursday. I have to care about it, or it's sayonara for you. But we broom that on Friday. And if I don't care about it, I'll act like I do, commonly known as faking it. Hasn't happened. It hasn't been a bomb today. Some days we bomb out, not often, but it has happened. So again, 800-282-2882 and 800-282 or lrushbo@eibnet.com if you want to go the email route. This is from Politico.com. Headline, Women Minorities Added to Roster in Charlotte. Democrat National Convention organizers today released the names of more expected speakers in Charlotte, and the lineup reflects a heavy focus on women and minorities, which is right up Bill Clinton's alley, especially with Hillary halfway around the world in New Zealand. Not unexpectedly, Nancy Pelosi and Dingy Harry are among the newly announced speakers. They originally were not going to be there. Pelosi will lead a special presentation of other female House members, including Representative Rosa DeLauro, Donna Edwards, Carolyn Maloney, Gwen Moore, Allison Schwartz, Nydia Velasquez. All that according to CNN. Unclear if they will have full speaking roles or if they'll be just just put up on stage so that people say, hey, look, women. Of course they're where it's, well, that's the thing. Only an hour of it's televised. I don't think this bunch, well, let's not even. The announcement brings the number of female participants to 28 out of a total of 61 people who will take the stage, identified so far. Also added to the roster, Judy Chu, Democrat, California, Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, Emmanuel Cleaver of the Congressional White Caucasians, Black Caucasians, and the Charlie Gonzalez of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, and Representative John Lewis. So they are scrambling now. All these late additions. A Democrat Party trying to make itself appear to be something that it isn't. Friendly to minorities. You know what the black unemployment rate is in America? Try 14%. You know what the Hispanic unemployment rate is in America? Try over 10%. More women have lost most of the jobs under the failed regime of Obama. But, of course, the exact opposite picture is one that must be presented. From the New York Times, Democrats outline convention schedule. Just when it seemed as if there couldn't possibly be any more red, white, and blue speeches ringing across the airwaves, the Democrats are unveiling their counterpunch to the this is going to be great. They think they have to go out there and look patriotic now. They don't know how to do that. And that's going to be funny to watch. Unlike this New York Times, unlike the Republican National Convention, which had to be cut short to 3 days because of Hurricane Isaac, Democrat festivities were always scheduled for 3 days. No, they weren't. No, they had to cancel a day for lack of interest and money. This news is not that old. It's only a month or so old. They didn't have interest or money for their four. Remember, they were going to do a deal at the beach or something. Deal at the racetrack. That's why they're going to do a deal at the racetrack. And a bunch of Democrats. Are you kidding? We're not coming down there. We don't want to go there anyway. And then you're going to take us to a NASCAR track? The hell with that. So they canceled the day. And then they said it was because of money. And it probably was, but it was originally scheduled for 4 days. They don't have the money for a third day, and the unions aren't forking up enough for a fourth day. Then on Wednesday night is the NFL opener. The Cowboys at the Giants. And that's 8 o'clock NBC, and they're not leaving the football coverage, and that's Clinton night, I believe. So I don't know if Clinton's going to speak before 8. Or is Tuesday night Clinton night? I don't. Bill, here you have a convention, a party. What is their slogan? Forward? And everybody with a prominent role in this convention is out of Jurassic Park, led by Bill Clinton. I don't know when he's scheduled to speak, but the NFL usually opens on Thursdays, and that would have put him up against Obama. So NBC went to the NFL, said, look, we can't go up against Obama. Everybody readily agreed, so they moved the NFL opener to Wednesday. So that night will not be on NBC, and there will be not very many people watching the convention that night anyway, because it is the NFL opener. Do you know, folks, I saw this deal. I saw Eric Erickson at Red State in a post that he had filed about the rules change controversy at the Republican convention. In his post, there was a statistic, a fact that I didn't know, that there are more elected Hispanics who are Republican than there are Democrats. There are more elected Republican Hispanics, including mayors and so forth, than there are Democrats. Which, of course, I didn't know, but it stands to reason here. More Republican senators, a greater percentage, signed the Civil Rights Act, 1964, than did Democrats, and yet, who are the racists? Al Hunt was on Charlie Rose on, let's see, was this, I guess it was, well, I don't know when this was. It has to be this week sometime, and they were talking about the Republican Hispanic problem. Charlie Rose said to Al Hunt, who is the executive editor at Bloomberg News, that two of the issues during this convention we've just seen, I was there with you. One is the number of Hispanics that came to speak, elected officials, the Republican Party, whether it's the governor of New Mexico, whether it's looking like the Senate candidate in Texas, who may very well win, Ted Cruz, attractive people who are Hispanics, who are holding office, who are Republicans, Al. I mean, Al, all these Hispanics who are Republicans, what do you make of that? It's number 13.
It's really interesting. There are a lot of those. The governor of Nevada also, and the Republican Party, particularly in 2010, did a very good job of electing more Hispanics than they had before. That doesn't detract, however, from what I think is their Latino problem in this election.
Yeah, it really is interesting, Al Hunt. There are a lot of those elected Hispanic Republicans. There are a lot of those. Like, what? Insects? Yeah, there's a lot of those. Al Hunt to Charlie, yeah, Charlie, that's right. It's interesting. There are a lot of those. Governor of Nevada, but I don't think all those elected Hispanics changes their Latino problem at all. Now, why would that be? Well, because people like Al Hunt and Charlie Rose are going to make sure that, as far as anybody knows, Hispanics hate Republicans and wouldn't dare ever become one. And yet there are more elected Hispanic Republicans than there are Democrats. Yeah, there are a lot of those. That doesn't change anything, Charlie. Don't worry about it. We got it handled. Pat Oporowski, Republican National Convention. Romney family friend Pat Oporowski spoke about how Romney helped her and her family when her son was dying. This is the story that had rivers of tears on television on the convention floor last night. This man and woman went out and talked about their teenage son, 14 years old, that came down with terminal cancer in Massachusetts, and they told the story of how Romney went to visit him often. And they became friends. Romney and the young boy became friends. Actual, real friends. And the young boy knew he was dying. And that's where Ms. Oporowski picks up the story.
Together, they made David's will. That is a task that no child should ever have to do. But it gave David peace of mind. So, after David's death, we were able to give his skateboard, his model rockets, and his fishing gear to his best friends. How many men do you know would take the time out of their busy lives to visit a terminally ill 14-year-old and help him settle his affairs? David also helped us plan his funeral. He wanted to be buried in his Boy Scout uniform. He wanted Mitt to pronounce his eulogy, and Mitt was there to honor that request. We will be ever grateful to Mitt for his love and concern.
Now, that's the tail end of it. The whole story. Ted and Pat Oporowski, couple, lived in Medford, Massachusetts in the 70s. They knew Romney from church. And when their 14-year-old son, David, was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease in 1979, Romney, because of the church connection, visited the boy regularly, and they developed a loving, genuine friendship. And Pat Oporowski recounted the many times that Romney came to see her and her son. His cancer was terminal. During one visit, Ms. Oporowski recalled, David, knowing Mitt had gone to law school at Harvard, asked if he would help him write a will. He had some prized possessions that he wanted to make sure were given to his closest friends and family. But after what you heard, the audio soundbite, David had great peace of mind. After his death, they were able to give away his skateboard, his model rockets, and his fishing gear to his best friends as he had bequeathed. And he'd also made it clear that his brother Peter should get his Ruger .22 rifle. And then she asked the question, how many men do you know who would take the time out of their busy lives to visit a terminally ill 14-year-old and help him settle his affairs? And there were no dry eyes to be found. And then another story. This is a woman named Pat Finlayson. Romney family friend spoke about how Romney helped her and her family when her daughter was born prematurely.
As I sat with her in intensive care, consumed with a mother's worry and fear, dear Mitt came to visit and pray with me. As our clergy, he was one of very few visitors allowed. And I will never forget how, when he looked down tenderly at my daughter, his eyes filled with tears, and he reached out and gently stroked her tiny back. I could tell immediately that he didn't just see a tangle of plastic and tubes and wires. He saw our beautiful little girl, and he was clearly overcome with compassion for her.
She was born prematurely. Keep that in mind as Ms. Finlayson continues.
When Thanksgiving rolled around, Kate was still struggling for life. Brain surgery was scheduled, and the holiday was the furthest thing from our minds. But that morning, I opened my door to find Mitt and his boys, arms loaded down with a Thanksgiving feast.
For a family and their daughter born prematurely. You know what they always say, character's what you do when nobody's looking. And nobody was looking. Nobody was paying attention. Nobody knew about any of this till last night. Miss Finlayson, one more time.
After 26 years of both miracles and struggle, she passed away just a year and a half ago. In the midst of making the final decision to run for president, which had to be the most difficult of their lives, when they heard of Kate's passing, both Mitt and Ann paused to personally reach out to us and extend us sympathy and express their love. It seems to me, when it comes to loving our neighbor, we can talk about it or we can live it. The Romneys live it every single day.
Dare I mention, again, we have here a little girl born prematurely. Dare I mention the nation's number one supporter of infanticide in Illinois? I don't know, should I do that? Barack Obama was the leader in the state of Illinois for making sure that if a baby survived an abortion, that a new doctor be brought in to finish the job. That's what Obama's known for. In his party, he too is a hero. He's a hero for a different reason. A woman intended the abortion, and by God, we're going to bring a doctor in here. If the first one botches it, we're going to bring one in here to finish the job. Take the pressure off the original doctor and off the mother. Now, after what you've just heard, let's go back to Obama Tuesday in Ames, Iowa, talking about Mitt Romney.
Governor Romney promised that sometime between taking the oath of office and going to the inaugural ball, he'd sit right down, grab a pen, and kick 7 million young people off their parents' plan by repealing health reform. Day one, that's what he says he's going to do. Maybe we should call his plan Romney Doesn't Care. Because I do care.
Right, there you go.
I do care.
Mitt Romney doesn't care. Exactly right. What Romney wants is for people to have health care, and he knows that Obamacare is not how that's going to happen.